Hello and welcome to the stream. We are back in Chicago. We have a good amount of money saved up, almost 3 billion, and really we're going to try to really flesh out this map throughout this stream. Hopefully 3 billion is enough to get us somewhat spread out, but I'm hoping we can really start to extend near to the far edges of the map during this stream. So let's see where we are starting off from. We have about 5% transit share so far in all of Chicago. It doesn't quite look like it, but we are moving a good amount of people, especially with most of the density being in this area. We definitely have plenty of room to grow throughout this. Welcome again to the stream. Thank you for being here. And so, looking at our route ridership, our J line and our G line, which I believe are our two north-south lines, are our two least ridden lines. But I think that can be easily fixed just by simply extending them farther than our current network reaches. Especially our G line, I think if we could get up into this area north of this little river, we could really make some big gains that way with our population reach. And then as for this other line, if we just keep extending this north, I'm sure we'll pull in a good amount of people that way as well. And so with $3 billion, we've paid off our bond. We are ready to begin expanding. So I think let's pull up our demand stats and we will just go north from here. Now we can... I'm not sure where we left this off at, but we are past our E line, so we can get up to a reasonable elevation and then just continue going north. And I believe we're going to have our G line and our A line maybe connect, maybe split. I'm not sure where we left that off. So if you guys have any ideas, I am more than happy to take that advice, because I don't think we're going to go much further than that at the moment. I think we're going to extend this 3 or 4 stations north and then move on to some other projects. So we'll build stations. This is heavy metro. We will go underground because I believe that's where we left off. And then I think we'll have one stop right on the other side of the river. That'll be a good starting point. And then we can pretty much just stop at every major road intersection, which doesn't seem too bad. I think we have another stop right about here. And then we go up a few more. And then we could make another stop here. I think maybe we end it at this station for now. That's 4 extra stations. I think that's good enough for what we're doing. We now have to build this. It should be pretty simple to squeeze this between the buildings and under the river and connect that in. And then we are on a wider road, so we should be able to do this without too much issue. We might have to break this up just a little bit. But that is connected up now. We'll get our crossover. And then for 500 million, we can build this. So let's get rid of all of that, go into our routes, grab our G line, and just simply extend this up a bit more. And I believe this looks good. We'll confirm those changes. I think now we can get a third train during high demand. We can keep everything else where it was. And then let's see if we can see the effects of that. It looks like immediately we already have some people coming in to take this line. It looks like this station at the end here is getting pretty popular. We'll have to come back and check and see how that does. I imagine it's going to do very well. Good evening, welcome. This is Chicago. So we have the water here on our right, and everything else over here is very dense. Well, I wouldn't say very dense, but moderately dense area for us to build out to. So I think the next line we wanted to extend was our J line, and I think we're not going to go much further past our E line right now, but hopefully we can extend this far enough that we can start to maybe get some walking distance connections between this station here. That would be beneficial. And I believe we already have connections to some of our other commuter rail lines. So right now we're using different symbols to represent the different types. So I believe circle is our heavy metro lines. We're using square for our light metro, and then we're using triangles for commuter rail. So we have all kinds of connections across this J line, and I think if we can extend that up to these lines up north, that would really help bring this together, especially as it's a connection to the airport. So we'll get back into building more stations. And I think we were struggling with having too many stations along this. It seems like almost every road along here is a major road that we want to intersect with. But I think we're going to have to draw a line somewhere. Or maybe we don't, we just have the connectivity just to have it. And we just create these stations at every slightly larger intersection. This will cost a lot of money, but I do think it serves us well for an express line of some type in the future. We'll have a really good local system that would be supplemented by a much quicker express line. So then we can skip 2 or 3 stations at a time and actually make it worth taking. But now we get closer to these lines where I think now we have to begin dropping. So minus 30 gets us under this line. And I believe this E line is elevated, so we can actually bring this back up and not have to worry too much about an intersection here as well, and it keeps us at a reasonable cost. Yeah, if you couldn't tell, I am not too familiar with the existing infrastructure in Chicago, so I think it provides an interesting take as I don't have any context as to what's currently here. But that also means you guys get to teach me a little bit about what I'm not seeing, especially with the transit system. So now we will connect all of these lines up and hope that this isn't going to spend half of our budget already. There's a good chance it might, and it might be worth it. I believe this line is one that connects to the airport that is in the south of Chicago. We'll have to zoom out and see in a second. But with that added, we can zoom out. And yeah, this one does connect to the airport, so hopefully this becomes a very important line for us in the future. And taking a look at the cost, we were able to keep this extension under 1 billion, so I think that's a pretty good success for that line. So then we can grab this and extend this line as well. And that should be connected. And we have to check our trains now because this did make the line much longer. I think we'll have to buy a couple more. I think now we can get 6 trains in high demand, 4 trains in medium demand, and we'll do 3 in low demand. Actually, let's go down to 2. I'm not fully convinced that 3 is good enough yet. We'll need to see what kind of ridership we get on this first. But I think I do like the stations being a bit closer together how we have it. It's consistent. It makes things easier for us later when we decide which stations to be express stations. And hopefully we'll see, after a few hours in the game passes, how successful that ends up being. And so I think for our G line, we can probably start to take a look at how things are changing. I'm already seeing some of these nodes changing color. Route ridership, our G line has jumped up, so this is no longer our least ridden line. our J line will probably slowly start climbing as well. And then for station ridership, as expected, we do see a good amount of people using our new stations, except for this one, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. We are still getting 3,000 people at that stop. And so, again, welcome everyone to the stream. We are playing in Chicago. We have some money saved up, and we're looking to pretty much just extend this out as far as possible. I think now we have a lot of our most vital connections made. We can really start to just maybe grab some commuter rail and go as far as we can. So if you guys have any areas or lines you really want me to extend to, let me know and I'll be more than happy to try to put that in here. Unfortunately, this C line that runs along the water is light metro, as we added this before the commuter rail update. This would be a really good line to have as commuter rail, but unfortunately for now it is just light metro. But I think we could have an actual commuter rail go south. There's a few existing rail corridors we can follow. I see this one here that's sort of running diagonal. It looks like we could probably just run that north too and end up with a pretty good connection right into the main area where all of our other stations are. And then it looks like this goes out really far. We'll have to see what the demand is along the way. But it looks like at least north of this river, we have a pretty decent demand along this whole segment. So I think let's try to add that in, and we can go from there. Yeah, I followed a few rail corridors already, I believe. I think this E line sort of mixes two of them, as I think we abandoned one to get closer to the airport and then switched over to using another one. But I think that's what's sort of fun about not having any context on a map. You sort of get the creativity to not be bound by lines you already know. So I think we'll try that. We'll figure something out. I think it might be beneficial to have elevated commuter rail, maybe, and then try to get out of here. That might be our most logical decision. Or maybe we just go underground so we don't have to worry about fitting between buildings. And if we need to, we can always go deeper. We do have money, so I think let's do that. So I think we'll try to put a commuter rail line right in the middle here, and it looks like we can just barely squeeze this in. I think this is what we're going to have to try to do until we get out of this area, is just squeeze in between the buildings, try not to demolish anything, and then once it opens up a bit more, then we can start to do whatever we want. So I think one stop there, we'll have another stop here between this group of stations. I think that works. And then I'm debating on if we put one here so it connects with our A and D line, although we already have that up here, as well as the C line. I think maybe we just bring it down to this point. And we should probably pin our demand stats. So we'll pin those. And then we'll go a bit farther south. And I think once we get into this area, we can elevate, move over, and then follow this existing rail corridor. Now we just have to decide where exactly we want these stops to be. There seems to be some dense nodes here. One of the larger ones. So we'll go there. And then maybe we have one right about here after we elevate. So the good thing about going above ground is we do save a bit of money. And I think we wanted this station right about here. It's a little bit far away from a few nodes, but it seems like this corridor tends to have that. So we might have to supplement this with some east-west lines. Looks like there might be something here we could follow and bring people in. And so we'll try to get a station that crosses here. We'll do that. And then I think this is where it starts to turn. And we can split into multiple directions if we wanted to. We could go southeast. And this seems pretty defined. But I think we'll stray away from this direction at the moment, since I think there's a bit more that we could gather if we go southwest instead. So we'll leave that station there. And then our next station we will put a bit farther away, right about here. Now remembering this is commuter rail, we want to take advantage of that top speed. So some of these are going to have to be a bit more spaced out than probably the ideal. But the goal of that is to try to get as many people on as possible. So maybe we want to spread them out a bit more than this. I think here seems to be a good spot. I like that idea of using light metro lines maybe to feed these stations. So I think that's not a bad idea. We'll definitely look into that when we get closer. I think we'll aim to reach this river and then we'll stop for now. See how much money we're going to spend on this. I think our last stop could actually be right at the river here. I don't see a reason why we couldn't have it there. So I do like that. We get a little bit dense in this area, but I think that's okay. It seems like this is a major road that we'll want to have a line running on eventually, so having a station there is pretty much a must. And so from here on, we can build our tracks, and we can probably work from this way in. It's a little hard to line this up. I think this is pretty close. I actually need to turn just a bit more so we can fit in the gap here. And now that we're connected to this station, a pretty good feature that was added was we can hold shift to make a line completely straight. So that'll be helpful when it comes time to trying to follow a road and not accidentally curve our tracks as much. But it looks like we are going to have to do some slight turns to get around some buildings. I think a $1 million cost to get rid of one building is okay. We'll probably want to not do that too often. We'll try to avoid it where we can. It looks like this is going okay so far. And then here's the tricky part where we kind of have to get through here and curve up. But the way these buildings are doesn't make it too easy. Hello, welcome to the stream. We are streaming a little bit later today, and I think that's going to be the norm moving on from here on. So our weekly streams will be on Wednesdays at 7:30 as opposed to 6:30s. But thank you guys for being here anyway. And then after this station, I think is where we wanted to go underground. We'll cross the road and then immediately go underground. We get to minus 15. We probably could have curved that better. But actually, we have to get ourselves lined up with the road, more importantly. So we do want this to curve a bit sharply. And I think we can make this if we get it just right. It will slow us down a lot, but we won't have any demolition costs. And that should connect up just fine. And now we just have to thread this needle through the densest part of the city. And we can get this commuter rail up and running. And it looks like we're almost able to make that without any extra segments. It looks like this one building is going to be a bit of a problem. But maybe that should work. And I think if we can, it'd be nice to get one more station all the way up here. But this does seem like it's going to be tricky. Especially when we start to turn. So I think maybe we go really deep and see if we can avoid these buildings altogether. It looks like we might be able to. Some buildings do have much deeper foundations, and so we could run into that problem, but it doesn't look like, actually it looks like these buildings get deeper. So we do need to make sure we line ourselves up properly. Really make sure we are set up to go right down the middle of this street so we don't accidentally demolish anything. I think at this point we can come back up. And we can easily connect. So let's throw in our crossovers. And then we need to go all the way to the end of this one for this crossover. And a quick look at cost. This will only be 1.6 billion. So we'll still have about half of our money left. And then with that built, we can move on to our next letter and add our next commuter rail line. So I think we left off with J. I think that means we're at K in our alphabet lettering. And for this, I think we'll go with a light gray. We'll use triangle for commuter rail. And then throw all these stations together. Yeah, I know Chicago has a bit of a interesting subway system. I've never been there, so I don't know what it's like to be on it or what it really looks like. But that might be something fun to look into one day. I know it does get talked about somewhat frequently, probably just because Chicago is such a big city. But we'll confirm this line. And I think maybe 8 trains, trying to anticipate our demand, or 8 cars per train. And so maybe something like this. We'll let that run. You're saying the elevated loop is actually bad for capacity. Yeah, I don't know what the system is like in Chicago at all, so I can't really speak much to it. I think it sounds cool. I kind of think elevated rail is a cool concept, but I've also never lived near an elevated rail, so I'm sure there's a whole handful of problems with that as well. Alright, so we'll let some of our stats start to catch up to this new line, and hopefully in a little bit we'll be able to build another large commuter rail section. Yeah, I can see the issue with elevated subway or elevated metro lines being pretty bound to existing city grids. I suppose the tracks would have to come first for an elevated rail to really function well in a city. I think looking around our map, things are going well. We can probably take a look at how our J line extension is doing. We're getting some of these nodes changing. We are up to almost, well, not almost 6%, but we're at about 5.5%. So surprisingly, even though we added all these stations, our J line is still our least ridden line at... Actually, it's not our least ridden. Our K line is down there. But our J line is still down there, just below our D line. So maybe we have to extend this J line a bit further in order to get some use out of it. But 30,000 people isn't bad. It's just the worst that we have so far. And looking at our stations, that sort of backs us up with the data. I think we left off at this station, and almost every one of the new stations is either at 2K or 3K, and in these instances, even less. So we might have to come in here and, if we really want to get the most out of this, start taking a look at where these people want to go. And most of them do want to go into the middle of the city. I think maybe there's just one too many transfers. So potentially we look into getting our I line deeper into the city so we can take advantage of that. Now I can't remember if this line was elevated or not. We can turn on our track elevations. It looks like this is new. We can actually hover over the track and see how high it is. I actually don't know when this was added, but this will be really helpful for when we're adding junctions in the future, especially when we don't remember how deep some segments of our track is. That's really helpful. That's something I didn't know we had access to. But now the tricky part is figuring out how we're going to get this into the city. What we could do is just have it follow this road. Unfortunately, that means we don't get great station groups. Everything's sort of a few blocks away from each other, and we might not get that many transfers. I think ideally we'd have it run right where our B line is coming in. Or even going through here and just being a short block off. But that just doesn't seem viable given that there's this building in our way. So maybe our best bet is to just build a station right about here and hope that the walking distance isn't too far enough away to scare off some people. So I think maybe we do that because that'll also help with our E line, getting people a bit deeper into the city. That's the one thing that does kind of stink about the way that this game does buildings is real life station buildings kind of become obstacles as opposed to something that's useful. So more times than not, if you're following a real network, you have to demolish the real life station buildings. Yeah, for instance, we'd have to demolish this, and that is an expensive building, 108 million. I'm sure most of the buildings in this area are expensive. And so I think we get this line set up right here. That's pretty close to our K line. It's only a few blocks away from our A and B lines as well as our C line. We'll be able to combine our E and I lines coming into this main area. And then this can sort of act as a spur. We can go farther this way and then go south and do a whole bunch of things with that. So now we'll just have to be careful with how we do this. I think we'll build the main line coming off of our E line, since that's sort of where the track is already pointed. It looks like we actually accidentally built a heavy metro station. So let's come back and we need to build this as... I guess we're keeping this elevated at this point, by having this come through like that. And then tracks. Now, this is going to be a bit of a tight curve, but I think because we're coming into our main station, it's okay to have this. We can almost make it without any issues. We can do that, and then have this track curve in like so. And then I think we just need to add a crossover. Things are going to start to get a little complicated if we have to add a third line and then start to separate things. But first, I think we actually need to build this. So now that's built. We can come back. And now we're able to connect to this station. That shouldn't add too much time to our line, so we shouldn't have to change anything with our frequencies. We'll come in, change our E line, and we'll throw this on the other platform that's here. Again, I think our trains are fine for this as well. Actually didn't confirm that, so our changes didn't save. So now that's set up. And I still think this is okay. 18 minutes for high demand. For a commuter rail, I think that's okay. I don't think we'd want to go any more than 20 minutes during high demand for commuter rail. But we can let that play. It looks like we didn't save our eye line either. And so now we can let this play. And we'll see if that makes any sort of improvement, drawing more people in. Again, the main hope is that more people will take our J line, transfer to our I line, and take that to this last station to get to the main area where most people want to go. So we've been able to keep a good amount of money throughout this stream so far. Kind of interested in seeing how much money we're earning. Looks like we've gotten a decent jump recently. We're up to about over 330 million a day. We are moving in the right direction. Hopefully we don't need any more bonds in order to complete our projects. But I think, zooming out, we are starting to reach out pretty far. We do still have the whole west area that we've hardly touched. But I think we're starting to cover the east side of the map and the main area of Chicago pretty well. So I think we could probably plan more commuter lines. We do have this I line we can pretty much extend all the way west. I believe there was a rail corridor that just kept going in this direction. Looks like there's this one here. And this one actually takes us pretty close to this airport. Now there is another heavy metro line I think we could do north-south, and that is on this road here. I guess this is First Ave. This runs pretty straight north. It'll get us really close to these stations for the airport, or we could even switch over to connect with these stations for the airport. But I don't think we have quite the infrastructure set up to support it with transfers. And I just don't know if that demand is really there along that road. And we can sort of take a look here. If we grab this, some people do want to go to the airport, but it looks like they're already covered. And it looks like most of these people just want to go in random directions, so maybe we don't do that line just yet. I don't think we'd get our money's worth out of it. We could extend this corridor along our new rail line, but that doesn't really get us anywhere. That'll be good to connect when we're just trying to get people. So I think let's extend this I line. We'll see how far this can go. And I think we'll just follow this existing corridor here and see where that gets us. So we're elevated, we are commuter rail. And we can pretty much just stop wherever there's a decent cluster of nodes. Here seems to be a couple. I think here we definitely want one. And then we sort of lose where it goes, but I think it goes this way. There seems to be another group of buildings here we can use. And then it goes this way. We could probably stop somewhere in the middle here. Let's see if this has workers. This does have a good amount of workers nodes. So one stop in the middle of this little area would work. And we just keep going. I think one here just to cover some of this stuff out here. And then I think we get one more. Maybe we can squeeze it between these buildings. And then it goes up to this airport, which let's see where those nodes are. So this doesn't really have much demand at all. There's really not much residential demand. So maybe we just leave it where it is for now, and if we did ever want to connect up to that, we can revisit that later. But I think these stations are pretty well spread out. We should be able to take full advantage of the commuter rail top speeds. We can connect that with one segment of track. That's really nice. And we just have to get everything else lined up. Looks like we're going to end up demolishing one building, but it's less than 1 million. So I'm okay with that. We have to make a little bit of a turn. We don't run into any issues there. This section's going to have to get a bit curvy. I think this still ends up being not too bad. And continuing on, we can do this turn in just one segment. So that works. We can, actually we go out a bit farther. And then this turns. And then again. And I think we have one more station to connect to before this is all wrapped up. So that's all good. We can look at our cost, and this is $1.2 billion. I do think it's a good extension. We finally reach one edge of the map. And this line will pretty much go as far east-west as we can. I believe that's all built now. And we actually need to add a crossover, so we'll discard these changes. Add that in real quick. And then we can edit this line. So I think this almost doubles the distance. So we're definitely going to have to buy a handful of cars. And maybe we even increase the capacity of the trains that are running on this line. So we can confirm. That's good. I think we can go up to 8 cars per train. And this will just have to order probably like 40. We'll bring this up to 6 trains in high demand, 4 trains in medium demand. Yeah, I think we are getting to the point of needing to run some express lines. But I think let's just have that set up first. I always forget how local and express routes run. I believe it's local on the outer tracks and express on the inner tracks. If that's wrong, please correct me, but I think that's how it goes. I think I often get that mixed up. Yeah, I guess if there is a line to start running an express route on, it could probably be this one. We stop at some of the major points, some of our transfer stations, and then just run with that. We could also do a similar thing with our C line. It's not quite as long, but it's also very densely populated with stations. Doing an express route. So I think we could try to set that up. Now, the one thing I'm not too sure about is how we can do local and express at a end station such as this one. I think we'd be forced to use the middle 2 platforms just because of the way the crossovers work. Unless we wanted to have a little loop come off the end. But I'm not sure if we really even have the space to do that. But I think let's start to set this up to run express lines. So the way I've usually done my crossovers for express lines is having the crossover and then just using a single track to connect to the outer lanes. And that has worked for me. I'm not sure if there's a more efficient way of doing this. And that's probably going to take a second to build. Then we need to go to the other end of the tracks. And then do the same thing. I'm not too worried about the density of the trains coming into this station. I'm not sure why we're not able to make any tracks here. For some reason the game's not letting us do that. Maybe it needs to be a straight segment. I'm not too sure what's going on with that. Unfortunately, I think we'll have to bring this connection all the way out here. It sounds like the audio is also starting to do some weird stuff. I think we just need to get out of there and try that again. Alright, so I'm not sure what was going on there, but maybe if we get on more of a straight segment, it'll let us do this. Yeah, so it lets us make this out here. I'm not sure why we couldn't do it closer to the station. But now that those are built, we can set up our routes, and we'll continue using this I line as our local. So I think that means these have to switch to the outer tracks. Hopefully this doesn't jam up the game too much. Unfortunately, I don't think there's an easy way that we can just swap these. We kind of have to go through each station and let the game think about the change. So we'll be having our locals on the outer tracks. We'll have to think about which stations we want to be our express stations, but those can always change in the future. I believe we only have a few more stations left of this. And then when we set the trains for this, we have to remember that we'll be running 2 lines at some stations, so we might not get as much ridership as we would ideally like out of one line, and we'll have to sort of slightly accommodate for that with our frequencies. So we can confirm that. And I think we'll keep what we're doing for now. We could probably go down to 5. Yeah, let's go down to 5 trains in high demand. Just because we'll probably be running 2 or 3 express lines during high demand as well. We don't want to take too much demand away from ourselves. So now that's set up. Looks like we have a few trains backing up here, but I think that's just them getting situated, hopefully. Looks like those are now on their way. Now we can come in here, add another line, and we'll do what I've been doing, which is just adding an X for express, and then keeping everything else the same. Do you guys have any better ways to denote this? I'm open for anything. But I think we'll stop there. We could stop at this station, but I don't think we need to, because this does have some other connections, but I don't think we need them if they're going towards the main area of the city anyway. And so we'll skip everything until we get to our main crossover lines. Try to get this in there. And then I think here, now that we don't have any connections with other lines, we just have to pull up our demand stats. And hopefully that saved where we were. Unfortunately, it did not. But once we get past all of that, then we pretty much just go with wherever the most population is. So it looks like maybe here would be a good spot. It seems like we're getting a lot of people taking that stop. This seems like maybe a good station. There's a lot of purple out here. Maybe we stop here as well. And then I think we stop at the last station. Looks like we might have missed that on our other line, so we'll have to take a look at that again. But I don't think this looks too bad. The only thing I'm debating is if we do another stop at one of these two stations. These both seem to have a good amount of people around them. I think we'll just do that one. That should be good. We'll confirm that. And this will go slightly less capacity. I'm tempted to do 4, but I'm worried that won't be enough. We can try it and see if we get any frequency or capacity warnings. We'll run 3 trains during high demand, 2 during low, medium, and 1 during low demand. And then let that play out. Then we wanted to come back and check this line. So it does look like it should be connecting to this station. It must have just been a visual thing when we saw it earlier. But now we just need to let this run for a little bit and see what kind of changes this does to our map. So how is everyone doing? You guys enjoying this? You guys have any ideas? Feel free to let me know. We still, after all of that, end back up at around $2 billion. I think we're almost at the point where we're earning more money than we can spend it. Although I'm sure once we build our next heavy metro project, we'll go through that really quick. I think we could probably look at some route ridership numbers, see if this has changed at all. So our J line is still down there. I don't expect that to change for a while. Our express line is at just about 10,000 people. I don't think that's a bad number given how few trains we're running. But we can definitely see our C line is almost up to 120,000 people. So I think if we do the same thing and try to set up an express line on this segment of track, we could definitely start to get more people out of that line as a whole. So let's see more areas we could expand to. I think there is opportunity to get another north-south heavy metro line running up this street between our 2 existing lines. This does get pretty dense up here, which is a lot of area that we could take advantage of. And then we sort of end up following along this river. So let's maybe try that and see what happens. We can start it down here at this, what seems to be a park, and just see how far north we can get with our money. So let's pin that, build our stations. This will be heavy metro and it'll be underground. And we want this to be I guess we'll still go quad track. I was thinking we could probably go down to parallel tracks, but there is always the possibility that we end up adding an express line in the future. Now the question is if we continue with this short spacing that we see here, similar to how we did on our J line, even though that's not really getting us that many people, I wonder if maybe we can do every other block and that might help us. So if we sort of do this type of spacing, we just sort of do this every other block. We have to avoid our A line. We throw that in there. Maybe we get one more before the river here. Bring this back up to -15. And then now that we end up over here, we'll have to fix our spacing again. I think getting one station close to our D line, that might be within walking distance. I think we definitely want one right here for potential future connections. And then we get one here at the H line, as that will definitely be important. And then continuing to go up, we're kind of losing this every other block spacing that we had, but I think that's okay. As long as we have sort of a somewhat major area that we're stopping at. We go there, and then here, this is gonna have to curve a little bit. And then this is where we cross over with our B line. I think maybe we do a station here and then one crossing over here. It's a bit of a shorter segment, but that only really happens in one spot along this line, so I don't think it's too detrimental. We get that line in, and then we continue going north past our E line. I don't think there's any station on our E line for us to connect to. And then we'll have this last stop right at this road. And so this will be a pretty long, heavy metro line. We'll have to hope this doesn't burn through all of our money, or that we at least have a little bit left over. We'll have to squeeze through here. And it looks like this is just tight enough that we're going to have to take this in a few segments just to avoid demolishing buildings. And then we just keep going north. Make all of these connections. I think now we come back up after this station. We have to get around a bit here. I think we can afford to lose 13 million to get rid of that building, just to make this a little bit easier. And then we can just keep going north. I think we get a bit more space up here, but we still have to be careful, it seems. I think our D line is elevated, so we don't have to worry about anything there. And now we're starting to catch up to the end of what we've built. We have a few more stations. I think we have to get through here. And then we go to this segment, which we're going to have a little bit of a sharp curve, but it's right at the end of a station, so the train would have to slow down anyway. And then we get to the point where we cross over our B line. And then we cross over our E line. Let's see if these buildings are expensive. Not too expensive, so I think we'll try to just keep doing that. And then that finishes off this line. And we haven't gotten the warning about cost yet, so we were able to keep this in budget. And we just need a crossover at this end. And this costs us 2.1 billion. So this does cost us most of our money. But overall, I think this is a decent investment. So we are now on to our next letter. I believe this is L. And for color, I guess we'll go with this darker pinkish purple color. Heavy Metro, I think we're doing circle. And then we just need to create this. So this is going to be a handful of stations we've added. We'll have to see. We do need to buy more cars. And to get a decent frequency, I think 4 trains, 3 trains, and then 2 trains. That seems reasonable to me. And then we can let this run. So now I think we have a really well-developed core of our system. We have some good north-south lines running. We have a few east-west lines running. I think if we can extend these north-south lines, probably down to the river and then up to this coast, that would be really good. I think it's been a little bit. We can take a look at our demand stats. We definitely jumped up here. We're climbing up to 7%, it looks like. So just in this stream alone, we've increased this by about 2%, maybe a little over 2%. Looks like that's climbing really quick, so hopefully that means this line was a success. As for workers, it's a little bit hard to see. I don't think we're going to see too much here. The only thing we might see is maybe out this way, some of these nodes might turn purple or blue. There does seem to be a lot of workers in this area. Maybe that's something we can take advantage of later with an east-west line following this road. Not sure if there's any other major clusters. Looks like maybe out here there's one. This will almost definitely have to be a commuter rail connection. I think we can probably look at our route ridership now, see how this is going. So our express line looks like it did climb up to 17,000. I think that's a good number. Our new line is still climbing, I believe, and that's already up to 22,000. So if I had to guess, that'll probably end up landing around the 40,000 riders range. And it looks like everything else is pretty much staying about where it was. No big changes there. And then we can see our station ridership. It does look like we are getting some decent numbers out here. 5K, 3K, 4K. I don't think those are bad numbers for commuter rail. But we can start to see on our new line, looks like this is a bit lower in numbers. Looks like they're mostly ranging between 2,000 to 4,000 per station. But I think that's all good. And then we can maybe see the change in money from this. So we're steadily climbing with our profit. We're almost up to 400 million in a day. So I think our network is looking pretty good. We're able to keep our money away from zero, which is kind of surprising given how much we've built. But let me know what your thoughts are on our network so far. If there's any areas that need developed more. We did talk about some express lines, so maybe we focus on that for a little bit. So looking at our C line, I think we'll do that. Let's add an express line to this. We'll need to set this up for that. Some light rail to act as bus routes. Yes, that is a good suggestion we should probably think about doing. I forget, I think this C line is elevated. we have to make sure we have light metro selected. So we can make the connection on this end. We'll have to zoom out and go to the other end so we can make that crossover. I think the C line is pretty close to being complete. I think we could probably extend south a few more stations, but I think for the most part, the extent of it is pretty much there. We can build that. And we can see it's taking a little bit for the game to think about building that. I wouldn't say this is too big of a network yet, but it does seem like the game might be starting to struggle soon. So now we have that infrastructure set up. Believe the next step we need to do is switch this, our local line, to the outer tracks. And so I think this probably has the most stations out of all of our lines. So this is going to take a second to get through all of them. Especially as the game needs to recalculate after every click. Yeah, this is definitely going to take a while to get through all of these stations, but hopefully the payout is worth it. I think the extra capacity on this line is much needed. I think those warnings we've been getting about capacity have been for the C line, because I think we've previously gotten them before. Now, choosing which stations to be our express line along this will be a bit more arbitrary than our I line. I think demand is pretty well spread out along this line. So we might do something that's more of every other station or every third station will be an express stop. Or maybe we connect every station closer to the densest area of Chicago, and then we sort of skip a few stations and then go to the outer edges of the city. That could also be an option on how we set this up. But we're a little bit past halfway on this line, setting this up. So we're starting to get there. We can start to see the end of the line. We only have about 6 more stations to flip over. And then this is our last station. We'll have to double check everything and make sure the game is calculating this properly. It looks like we got all of them. We didn't miss any. We can confirm this. And then what are our trains looking like at the moment? So we have 10 in high demand, or 10-minute frequency in high demand, 14-minute frequency in medium demand, and 20-minute frequency in low demand. And this is light metro, so that's why the frequency is so high, just to keep our capacity numbers up. So I think we'll keep that as it is, and then we'll add our express line and see what effects that has, and then we might reduce the trains on this line a little bit to balance it out. And so this will be our C X line. And we want this to start at the end. And I think this is a good moment to pull up our demand stats. And this is light metro, so we want to switch it to a square. And so yeah, now is really the point where we just sort of pick and choose which stations we want to be express. And we'll want them to be our more populated stations. So it looks like maybe we do this one and then this one. Then we go here, here, and then we're going to hit all the ones that go through the main area of the city, just to make sure we're getting as much demand in this as possible. And then coming out of the city, we'll get one more here, skip a station, go here, skip that station, and then we'll do that. So in the densest area, we only really end up doing every other station, and then this way we have a bit more space between our connections. But I think that should be good enough for an express line. We have that, we can set this up. We'll do 4 cars per train. Or did we have that on our regular C line? We'll have to double check that. But I think we'll run 4, 3, and 2 for our express line. And then let's double check our C line and make sure, yeah, these trains are running at 4 cars. So I think that works out well. We can take a look at our capacity warnings and maybe try to see if anything on the C line pops up in the next couple of moments. It looks like we already had one of our express trains pop up for a moment. We could always click this and just watch as these go through and identify any of the ones that get really full. I've seen a couple of our E-line trains get pretty full, so I think maybe we come in here. I think our frequencies are okay. I think maybe we run it up to 10 cars per train. See if that changes anything. We can sit here and continue to monitor this. Now we're entering the high demand portion of the day. So this is the busiest we'll get. So this doesn't look too terrible. It seems like a lot of our commuter rail lines are the ones getting full. Our heavy metro seems to be doing well. Nothing's really getting overloaded here. So I think maybe there's some adjustments to be had with our commuter rail. And I think one thing we didn't do was switch the capacity of our high express trains. I think maybe we make those 8 cars long. Just because those would probably be more in demand than the regular local trains. We'd want that to be the same, if not longer. Or I guess maybe in real life the express trains are a little bit shorter, but I think we just have to keep an eye on our capacity for that. But I think we're handling this well. I haven't seen any warnings for the sea line. And we could maybe argue we could lose a train or two during high demand. But I think given that we do want to extend this a bit farther in the future, there's not really any need to do that at the moment. Alright, so let's see maybe where our demand stats are landing. I think we're pulling a good amount of demand from our eye lines here. A lot of that line is turning purple. We're also seeing a good amount of purple down here. I think we could take a look at our route ridership and see how this is doing. So, adding this express line to our C line, as expected, took away a little bit of ridership, as some of those people probably want to take the express line since it gets them to their workplace quicker. But it looks like adding these together, we're at about 130,000 riders. So just by adding an express line, we've added about 10,000 riders a day to this segment of our network. And we're not going to be able to easily see that quantified, so we'd always have to sort of add these together and keep in mind our lines that are split with express lines are always going to run a little bit less people than our lines that only have one route on them. So we can't really measure efficiency that way really well. We might be able to take a look and see if that was good for our money. Looks like we're coming close to the end of the day. We might be starting to level out here a bit at about 360 million. I think we're coming to a good sort of natural ending place for this stream today. We've added a few more lines, extended our reach. We didn't quite get as far as I wanted to. I was hoping to maybe get a good line going southwest, but we did get this I line extended pretty far, and we set up this K line that we can branch off of in the future. I think we just have to sort of commit to building those out. And so let me know what you guys think of these streams. If you guys want to keep seeing me do this Chicago map, or if you want me to see me do a different map or a different game entirely, we could switch over to doing something like City Skylines or Transport Fever, play those games and give Subway Builder a bit of a break, since I know we've been playing that a lot recently. I think thank you guys for being on the stream. It's fun having you guys to chat with and have your input. So I think with that, that's where we're going to end the stream. We're not going to really have time to build anything else. We could probably let this run a little bit more if we wanted to, but I think we'll build up some money for the next time we play this map, and hopefully then we can really start to blow this open now that we have a nice strong core to connect to. So with that, thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe. But thanks for watching and have a good night.